when Johnny read, would you read Proverbs 3, 5 through 7. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. That's a personal testimony for me because when I was just graduating high school, not even when I graduated, this was senior year, right after the football season, around January. I wanted to play college football so bad, like so bad. But here I am, like 3 weeks out from signing day, and I have 0 offers. So God always knew that in my heart that I wanted to go to the NFL. But how can I get to the NFL if I can't even get to college? And I remember one day, I went to church with my mom. It was me, my mom, and my little brother. And I came home from church, and I was just so heartbroken because I thought that my football career was going to be over. And little did I know, I was in bed. I was literally crying in tears, like tears all the way down, hanging off my chin. Like I was in bed hurting. And then my mom came upstairs and she saw me crying, and then she prayed with me. Little did I know that day I was laying in my bed crying that yesterday, April 4th, 2017, this was 2013 I was crying. Little did I know April 4th, 2017, that I will be participating in a junior day with the Lions and the Eagles. God is good. Even when you don't see it, God has a plan. He sees way above your future than you can ever see in your moment of struggle, in your moment that you just don't see God working. He is working. So trust in the Lord all the time and lean not on your own understanding. That wasn't even my message, but that's the testimony that came from your warm-up. So what the message that God gave to me to speak to you all about is my circle. So when I say my circle, matter of fact, I want you all to say my circle.
My circle.
My circle is your friends. Who do you associate with? Who do you hang around? And who do you basically just say, this is my circle. I hang out with these people right here. So throughout the message, I want you to evaluate the people you hang around. Because I feel like God is going to knock on your mind and knock on your heart and tell you that there are some people you're hanging around that you don't need to be hanging around. And there are some people that God is telling you need to start hanging around with that you need to get with immediately.
Amen.
So I want you all to evaluate your friends and who's really your friend and who's not, which will be kind of obvious by the time I'm done, which is my goal. So if you have your Bibles, you can turn to Judges chapter 7. Because obviously you won't be able to see all this on the screen. I had to use some small font to fit it all on there. Just let me know when you're there. Just say amen. Amen. Judges chapter 7, starting at verse 1. And while you all are flipping there, I'm going to give you a little bit of context and background. We're starting at Judges chapter 7, but in the previous chapter, chapter 6, Gideon, this man right here, he is, I guess you can call him like a commander, general in the Israelite army. And Israel has been so sinful that God gave them into the Midianites. So basically they were being oppressed for 7 years by the Midianites. And Gideon is saying, where is the God that my ancestors have been bragging to us about? Where is the God that led my ancestors out of Egypt? We've been in oppression for 7 years. Where is that God? So that's when God is going to tell Gideon that he's going to use Gideon to lead his people out of oppression. Is everybody there? Judges chapter 7? Amen, hands. Judges chapter 7?
Amen.
Cool. All right. So now we got a little bit of background. Verse 1, it says, early in the morning, Gideon and all his men camped at the spring of Harod. The camp of Midian was north of them in the valley near the hill of Moreh. The Lord said to Gideon, you have too many men. You have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel will vote against me. My own strength has saved me. Basically, he's saying, you have too many soldiers. You don't need all those soldiers. Because if I let you go to battle with all those soldiers and I allow you to overtake them, they're going to say, we did it through our strength and not because of God. Yeah. Verse 3. Now announce to the army, anyone who trembles with fear, may turn back and leave Mount Gideon. So check this out. So 22,000 men left, while 10,000 remained. So basically, God tells Gideon, tell your army, whoever's scared, you can go home. Whoever's scared, you can go home. And 22,000 men left. So they started with 32,000. After Gideon tells whoever's scared can go home, they're left with now 10,000 men. Verse 4. But the Lord said to Gideon, there are still too many men. Take them down to the water, and I will thin them out for you there. If I say, this one shall go with you, he shall go. But if I say, this one shall not go, he shall not go. So Gideon took the men down to the water, where the Lord told him, separate those who lap the water with their tongues as a dog laps from those who kneel down to drink. 300 of them drank from cupped hands. So they went to the spring. 300 of them drank cupped hands, while the rest got down on their knees and they drank from the water with their mouth.
Amen.
Verse 7. The Lord said to Gideon, with the 300 men that left, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all the others go home. Let all the others go home. So here we are. Long story short, I didn't put the whole chapter in there, but I'm just summarizing it for you. Long story short, Gideon and the 300 men seized the land and killed the Midianite leaders. Amen. So you see, Gideon started off with 32,000 soldiers. He ended up with 300. That's less than 10%. 10% of the people that he had, he actually needed. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. All the people that you're hanging around, you don't need. And I'm praying that through this message, God will reveal to you which people you need to hang around and which people you need to cut off. So you can flip to Mark chapter 14. I pretty much think the rest of the time here, we're going to be in Mark. Mark chapter 14, 15, you're going to be very familiar with. So just let me know when you got Mark 14.
Amen.
Amen. Wait on.
Amen.
Amen. I'll just wait on everybody to get there. Everybody there? All right, so just giving you some background on where we're at right here. This is moments before Jesus is arrested. And Jesus is with his disciples and he's about to start praying. So Mark chapter 14, verse 32 to 34, it says, they went to a place called Gethsemane. And Jesus said to his disciples, sit here while I pray. He took Peter, James, and John along with him. And he began to be deeply distressed and troubled. So it's just something about these three people, Peter, James, and John. I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm not even going to. It says, and he began to be deeply distressed and troubled. And he says, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. He said to them, stay here and keep watch. So this is moments before Jesus is about to be handed over. He knows that his betrayer is coming, and now he's starting to feel the pressure of what's about to happen. He knows what's happening next, and he's at a moment where he's deeply distressed and troubled. Now, if you think about it, not too many people have seen Jesus like this. Not too many people have seen Jesus like this. But there's something about these three people that made them so special that they were able to see this moment.
Amen.
So, here's my next point. In times of trouble, you need good friends who are going to pick you up. When you're in these times where you're feeling deeply distressed and you're feeling troubled, you need good friends that are going to pick you up and who are going to bring you closer to God, rather than friends who are going to let you suffer, or have friends that are gonna drag you away from Christ. So what I'm really saying, bringing that into real life, when you're talking to your friends about the hard times you're having, you need a friend who's gonna sit down and pray with you. If you're going through something, you need a friend that's gonna sit down and pray with you, and that's gonna be there for you and lead you to God. You don't need a friend who's gonna roll you up some weed and let you get high and then try to smoke out your problems. Because guess what? When you sober up, your problem's still gonna be there. You don't need a friend who's going to sit there and let you drink your life away because you're stressed out and that you feel overwhelmed. No, you need a friend that's going to be there. You need a friend that's going to be there and they're going to pray for you and help you pray your way out of those situations.
Amen.
So continuing. Although Jesus walked with 12 disciples, he took 3 specific people during certain moments. So we just talked about the time where Jesus was feeling deeply distressed. You see Jesus in the Bible and he's walking around casting out demons, healing people, performing many miracles. People saw him weep over Lazarus, but nobody saw him deeply distressed to the point where he was feeling sorrowful. And here's the next point, the transfiguration in Mark chapter 9, verse 2 through 4. You don't have to flip to it. It says, after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John. Again, those same 3 people. I like to call this the power circle. Jesus had a circle of 12 disciples, but he took 3 people specifically to certain moments, and that's what I call it, the power circle. And so inside of your circle, you got to have a power circle, people that are going to be there with you. So it says, after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John with him and led them up a high mountain where they were all alone. There he was transfigured before them. Think about that sight. His clothes became dazzling white, whiter than anyone in the world could bleach them. And there appeared before him Elijah and Moses, who were talking with Jesus. So just picture yourself as Peter, James, and John, and you're walking up. It's just the 4 of you all with Jesus, and he begins to be transfigured. And next thing you know, Elijah and Moses start talking with him. And if you don't know who Elijah and Moses are, we talked about Moses in the warm-up, who led the Israelites out of Egypt to the Promised Land. And Elijah was a major prophet in the Old Testament. And in 2 Kings, God basically gave him the grand departure by bringing him off the earth through a chariot of fire. So what I really want to get you to understand about your power circle, there are things that God wants to show you, and there are places that God wants to take you, but not everybody can go with you where you're going. You get what I'm saying? But he took 3 specific people. So again, like I was saying with Gideon, everybody you're hanging around does not need to go with you to where you're going. And if you are still hanging around them, that could probably be a hindrance to why you're not getting to where you want to go. So let's talk about Judas. A lot of people are familiar with Judas Iscariot. You don't have to flip to it because we're going to come right back to Mark. Matthew chapter 26, verse 14 through 16. It says, then one of the 12, then one of the people in your circle, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priest and asked, let's pause right there. So this is somebody, Judas Iscariot, this is somebody in your circle. And what does he do? Went to the chief priest. If you don't know who the chief priests were, that was Jesus' opposition. When Jesus was casting out demons and healing the sick and performing many miracles, the chief priest was sitting there nitpicking at the smallest thing that Jesus did to catch him and say that he was sinning so they can kill him. So somebody in Jesus' circle went to his opposition and said, what are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you? This is somebody in your circle waiting for that moment. So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. I don't even know how much that's worth, but I can tell you it's not a lot. From then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand him over. There are some people that's hanging around you that's only in it for their opportunity. They don't care about you. There are some people that's hanging around you that only want what's best for them. They don't have your best interest at heart. They're only around you, whatever their motive. His motive was for some money. But whatever their motive is, amen. What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you? This is somebody who's supposed to be your man. This is somebody in your circle going to your opposition saying, what are you going to do for me if I give Deucey to you? What are you going to do for me if I give Johnny to you? Let's say me and Johnny going out and I know there's some dudes beefing with Johnny, and I go to dudes and say, hey, after me and Johnny go somewhere, I'm gonna bring them to the spot and y'all can jump them, but I'm gonna need some money. There's somebody in your circle who is at Judas, and I want you to hear that. So continuing, Mark 14, verse 17 through 18, so you can follow along since you're still in Mark. say amen. We have it Mark chapter 14, verse 17 through 19. All right. It says, when evening came, Jesus arrived with the 12. So just some context in here. This is Jesus at the Last Supper. So right before he was about to be handed over, this is him having dinner with the disciples. This is the Last Supper. So it says, when evening came, Jesus arrived with the 12. While they were reclining at the table eating, he said, truly I tell you, one of you will betray me, one who is eating with me. They were saddened, and one by one they said to him, surely you don't mean me, Jesus, including Judas. Surely you don't mean me. But here's the thing I want you to understand. Right here in verse 18. Jesus says, truly I tell you, one of you will betray me. Jesus knew the whole time that Jesus knew the whole time that Judas was going to betray him. And he was still faithful to get on the cross. But here's what I want to acknowledge. He knew the whole time who the snake was in his group. I want you all to understand. I want you to listen right now. Whoever God is telling you to cut off in your life, that is your Judas. Jesus knows. He still carried through with God's will, but Jesus knows. So the same way you know who God is calling on your heart, saying, don't hang around him. Deucey, stop hanging around him. He's taking you around the wrong places. Stop hanging around that person. This person is bad for you. This is a Judas to your life. And it says they were saddened, and one by one, they said to him, surely you don't mean me. There are some Judases in your life, like I said, who are waiting for the opportunity to leave you to dry. So here we are, Mark chapter 14, verse 43 through 46, just a little bit towards the end. This is going back towards when Jesus is about to be arrested. It says, just as he was speaking, Judas, one of the 12, appeared. With him was a crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him and lead him away under guard. Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, Rabbi, and kissed him. The men seized Jesus and arrested him. So like I said, Jesus knew the whole time that somebody in his circle was a snake. He still went through with it because he loves us. But that doesn't mean that you have to keep hanging around the snake that God's telling you to cut off. Amen? Amen. All right. So let's talk about Peter. So we're still in Mark chapter 14. Let's go to verse 30. You all have a say amen. Amen. All right. Amen. So this is pretty much when Jesus is telling Peter, you're going to deny me. So it says, Jesus saying, truly I tell you, Jesus answered, today, yes, tonight, before the rooster crows twice, you yourself will disown me 3 times. But Peter insisted emphatically, even if I have to die with you, Jesus, I want you to remember that part. Even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you, Jesus. And all the others said the same. Even if I have to die with you. Now, granted, when they did arrest Jesus, he did take a guy's sword and cut his ear off, but that's beside the point. I'm going to get to that in a minute. So here we are, verse 66. Can everybody get to verse 66? You got your Bibles? Still in Mark chapter 14, which is going to verse 66. Everybody there? Amen. 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 While Peter was below in the courtyard, one of the servant girls of the high priest came by. So this is after Jesus was already arrested. Right. So the whole incident in Gethsemane already took place. Jesus is already in custody. So while Peter was below in the courtyard, one of the servant girls of the high priest came by. When she saw Peter warming himself, she looked closely at him. You also were with that Nazarene Jesus, she said, but he denied it. I don't know or understand what you're talking about, he said, and went out into the entryway. Verse 69, when the servant girl saw him there, she said again to those standing around. So now she's making it a public thing. This fellow was one of them. Adam, he's one of them. He's one of them. Again, he denied it. After a little while, those standing near said to Peter, surely you are one of them. For you are a Galilean. I know you're one of them. I've seen you with them. I'm not crazy. You're one of them. And then it said in verse 71, he began to call down curses, and he swore to them, I don't know this man you're talking about. Immediately the rooster crowed the second time. Then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken to him. Before the rooster crows twice, you will disown me 3 times. And he broke down and wept. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Peter. I don't even want you to think about Peter. I want you to evaluate your circle. Who are the people, even if I have to die with you, who are the people who are loud in your face saying that they're for you, but in times of trouble, they act like they don't even know you? To your face, yeah, Johnny, I'm your man. I'm your man. And then behind your back, I don't know Johnny. Who's he? He ain't with me. I ain't with him. Who's Johnny? You know what I'm saying? Those are the friends that you don't need. Like I said, I'm not trying to take anything away from Peter. I want you to evaluate your circle. Forget the noise, forget the hype. Forget the words, but look at the actions. Look at the actions of your friends and not their words. So who are the friends that we need? Here we are on Mark again. You could just flip to chapter 2, verse 1 through 5. Let me know when you get there.
You heard that.
You all should have bought a highlighter. Mark will be all colored up right now. Everybody there? Mark chapter 2, verse 1 through 5. So these are the type of friends that we need in our life. These are the type of friends. So it says, a few days later, when Jesus again entered Capernaum, the people heard that he had come home. They gathered in such large numbers that there was no room left, not even outside the door, and he preached the word to them. Some men came bringing to him a paralyzed man, carried by 4 of them. Since they could not get him to Jesus because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above Jesus by digging through it and then lowered the mat the man was laying on. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralyzed man, son, your sins are forgiven. You need people who will fight for you in your life. I'm not talking about fist fight, but you could say through their faith. You need friends whose faith can heal you. Because it's nothing that the paralyzed man did, but it's through his friends. Like, just picture that. Picture Jesus inside of a house, and it's so crowded, like it's shoulder to shoulder in there. You can't even get in. There's people outside. You can't even get to the door. So what do? They go on the roof, and they're digging a hole through the roof. They lowered their friend on the mat down to Jesus, and when Jesus looks up and he sees not the paralyzed man, but he sees the faith of his 4 friends, that man was healed through his friends. Amen. That's the people you need to hang around. The people who have the faith to heal you. So let's talk about the ultimate friend. We're wrapping up here. The ultimate friend in John chapter 15, Jesus is speaking. He says, greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friend. You are my friends if you do what I command. That's my last slide here. Again with the ultimate friend. John chapter 10, verse 14 through 15, Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, I lay down my life for the sheep.
Thank you, Jesus.
We are the sheep, and Jesus is the good shepherd who laid down his life for us. And when we talk about friends, how many of you in here have social media, by show of hands? It's just about everybody in the room. Everybody. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, Snapchat. You know how you get random friend requests? Jesus, when he died on the cross, he sent the ultimate friend request. Jesus wants to be your friend. He sent the ultimate friend request for us. He already paved the way. All you have to do is accept the friend request. So that's my message. And I just pray that God has revealed to you the importance of who you hang around, and that you don't need everybody to hang around. And in reality, the place you're going, those people can't go with you anyway. But you need him. You need Jesus Christ, who is the ultimate friend. So that's